Hello guys and welcome back. In this video we're going to be talking about a topic that somebody brought up in the comments and I've seen a few times before. And I've made videos on this a couple of times before and I speak about it relentlessly, but it doesn't matter how many times you speak about this, you can't hide the feeling that comes with it. So I understand that sometimes it needs to be reiterated for people to feel comfortable. And the topic is getting to 30 years old and not being successful or not having kids yet, not being married, not really having anything to be proud of as such. Or I think the way that he phrased it was be underachieved at 30, not really having any accomplishments in place. Now I've made videos on this before and I've said it's not a problem, but I'll go over it again. I'll go into more detail and I'll be more specific about the whole being underachieved at 30, that whole idea, that concept. So number one, and I've spoken about this at length before, is that 30 years old is really 12 years old. You know, you can't blame yourself for being 30 years old and not successful and say, damn, the day I was born, I should have started a business. Or when I was 1 year old, I should have started a business. When I was 5, why was I playing with toys? I should have been on YouTube making videos. Not going to happen. When I was 10, why wasn't I investing into... Again, not going to happen. When I was 15, why wasn't I out networking at these meetings? Again, not going to happen. When I was 18, why was I out drinking and getting drunk? Guess what? Everybody was. You know, before the age of 18, life is called practice. You know, it's a fuck around. Nobody knows what they're doing. Your parents are feeding you. They're clothing you. You know, they're telling you what to do, where to go. You're at school. Teachers are doing the same. It's very hard to have that mental capacity to be like, okay, I need to be hyper aware at this age because I know in 10 years time, all this is going to matter. It's not going to happen. There's very few 15-year-olds that are worried about what their life's going to be at 50. You know, they think that's a million years away. So we can't blame ourselves. So to start with, 30 years old is really just 12 years old. You've only had 12 years to get your shit together. You haven't done it. So what? Guess what? Nobody has. Number two, having kids, marriage, mortgage, etc. doesn't mean you're accomplished. It takes a roundabout of hard work. It takes around about 3 to 5 years to have that shit in place. Number one, get a job. 2 weeks, a month? Number two, save like fuck in that job. You can live at home with parents. You can live in a cheap, shitty apartment, but you're there on your own, so it doesn't matter. And you save like a motherfucker. And the amount of money that you save, you use to eventually get a mortgage on a house. You know, so suddenly after, let's say 3 years, you finally got yourself a place. You know, you've got yourself a steady job. Let's say you're 30 years old. By 33, you've been working for 3 years. You know, you've got some money in the bank. You've got a job. You've got a mortgage. Probably not that hard to do in certain parts of America. London, it would be very hard to do. But in any other part of the UK and many parts of America, 30, 40,000 saved over 3 years, you know, you'll get in a place quite easily with that, okay? So you've ticked that box off. And even if it takes longer, it's still easy to do, guys. If it takes 5 years, it's still easy to do. Then let's say on year 4, you meet a woman because your life is sorted out now, you've been in the gym a lot. By year 5, you know, it only takes 9 months to have a baby. You know, you could have sex one night, 9 months later, bang, you've got a baby. So 3 months shy of it being a 5-year period, you've gone from being a 30-year-old man with what you perceive as nothing to being a 35-year-old man who's got a job, who's got a mortgage, money in the bank, a wife, because you can get married very quickly for cheap if you wanted to, and you've got a kid on the way. Suddenly everybody's like, oh, this guy's accomplished. This guy's achieved a great life. Look at him, 35. He's sorted himself right out. Whereas in reality, those milestones, they're all logical fallacies because you tick those boxes in life, the child, the marriage, the mortgage, etc. You put a roof on your head. And I don't actually mean the house. I mean, you put a roof on your earning potential. You put a roof on where your life can go. And, you'll find that it's very hard to go above that limit beyond the age that you are now. You know, if you ticked all those boxes at 35, guess what? You've tied up about 6, 7, 800,000, maybe $1 million that you would have been able to get your hands on in the meantime, which you'll never see again. You know, that'll be going on your mortgage, marriage, kids, whatever, everything else that comes with it, a car. So you can tick those boxes, you can tick them really quickly, and it's not, everybody says it's a massive achievement. It's not. It's very easy to do. It's not hard to get somebody pregnant. That's why you get white trash trailer people in America doing it 17 times in, a 10-year period with different women. It's not hard to do. You can simply tick that box at any moment in your life. Getting married, not hard to do. You can easily meet a woman and she's all fucking Disneyed up and fairy taled up and she just wants to go down the marriage route. You can easily just get on one knee. It's not hard to do. Getting a mortgage, just any shit job, it doesn't matter. You could have very little amount of money. You could earn a very little amount of money from a job, but within a couple of years, you could easily stack that money away and get a mortgage. Like I said, it might take 3 to 5 years. But you don't want to tick these boxes, guys. That's the thing. You don't want to tick these boxes because they come with massive bills. And number two, they don't go any further. That house doesn't then pay you back. It's a liability. When you get a wife, it's not like she's going to be there for you. It's going to be support you and it's going to be fantastic. But it's not like she's going to earn you more money or give you something back in return other than just being there as company and love and stuff. So that can be found at any time in your life. It's not hard to do. Children, you're going to love them, yeah, but again, it is a liability. It's a lovely liability. It's a beautiful one. I don't think many people would give their kids back, but it's a giant liability that doesn't pay you back. So again, these are things that you can take on and feel accomplished, but you're not really going to get any benefit in return. So it's not that worrying. Now, step 3. If you're a 30-year-old man and you've got nothing, you haven't accomplished anything, that's one way to look at it. The way I'd look at it is you haven't bought on any ties yet. You don't have the marriage, the mortgage, the kids, etc. You have the opportunity to have expendable income coming in. And like I said, you can have a terrible job and live in a very cheap flat and be saving up all that money. Now, it takes the average person apparently 12 years to become successful. Now, I know from experience, the average person is a lazy fuck. Even a person starting their own business, even somebody who does have 1% of ambition, 10% of ambition. Now, if you become a relentless man, a relentless motherfucker who doesn't have any of those ties, like I said, has all that time and all that money spare, you got to think the average person does have a mortgage, kids, marriage, etc. So they're paying all these bills. That's why it takes 12 years. But the average person isn't what I believe you guys should be. And if you're a 30-year-old man and you've got none of these ties, you feel underaccomplished, you're in a perfect position. With the amount of money and time you'd have spare, it's reasonable to say you could do it in 6 years. 30 is so young. Like I said, it's 12 years old. So if you worked relentlessly from 30 to 36 on a business, it's not this. Here's the thing as well, guys. It's not going to go 30, terrible year, 31, terrible year, 32, terrible year, 3, 4, 36, super rich, life's great. Along the way, there's going to be stepping stones. Now, 30 might be shit, 31 might be shit, 32 might be shit. 33, your business, your idea, whatever it might be, might start earning a decent amount of money. Or the job that you're in might get you a promotion. Who knows what route you want to go down. But anybody, I guess that's why this guy asked the question, because he wants to go from where he is now to a top level guy. I assume something like start a business, see where he can go and do something better with his life than maybe just doing a 9-to-5 job and feeling unsatisfied. So, by 33, you might be earning a normal wage. It's 2,000-3,000 a month, but it's your own company, so you feel accomplished and it can go further. By 34, you might have doubled that. By 35, you might have tripled that. By 36, you might be looking at 10 grand per month. Now suddenly you've gone from 30 years old behind everybody to 36 in front of everybody. And here's what happens. When you're behind the game, you panic. You think everybody's ahead of me. Everyone's having kids. Everyone's getting married, mortgage, etc. When you go down this route that I promote on 1STMAN and you do this every day, you feel bad about yourself until you reach a certain level where you go, it's all coming together. It's all true. Everything that I predicted, everything that I hoped would happen is now coming together, and now I see it for what it is. This life choice is 10 times better than the other one that everybody else was trying to do. And you start realizing that comparing yourself to others was stupid. You get to 36, you're 10 times richer than all your friends, and you go, why was I worried? Why did I care? They were on their own life path. I was on my own one. Like in the early days when I was 21, 22, 23, I used to worry about what everyone else was doing. Am I ahead of the curve? Everyone else is going down this route. I'm going down another route. That's stupid. Whereas now I'm like, enjoy your life. That's your choice. That's what you want to do. You're going down your own career path, life path. You want to have kids at 21. Good luck to you. Are you happy? Great. You got a smile on your face. It's none of my business. I'm glad for you. And I'm turning 28 in 2 days, and things are really coming together, and I'm like, okay, I picked the right path for me personally, and that's all that matters. If you're 30 years old and you haven't really accomplished a lot, but you're optimistic about the future, you have a plan and a vision, you don't want to go down that route everyone else has gone down, it's not a problem. It'll come to you eventually. And the thing is, like I've said to you guys before, as long as you put the work in, at some point you have to put it in. Ideally, put it in from 18 to 30, rest of your life is magical. If you're 30 years old, put it in from 30 to 40, You think to yourself, right, from 40 to 80 is 40 years of life. That's a huge chunk of life. And that's life that you're actually alive for. You're actually awake for. From 12 to 40 is only 28 years in my opinion. Sorry, from 18 to 40 is only 22 years, based on the criteria that I said earlier. Whereas from 40 to 80, if that's how long you're going to live, the average life cycle, that's 40 years. It's 12 years more than that little period that you just had. That's a huge chunk of your life. And I always say, stay in shape, stay healthy, stay clean with your lifestyle. Because if your life's shit at 30 and you get to 40 and you're a multi-millionaire, but you're in the best shape of your life, you're healthy, you've got the body of a 21-year-old, now suddenly you've got from 40 to 50, best years of a man's life. I think maybe 30 to 40, but as long as you're in shape, 40 to 50, a lot of people have started saying in this era, it's even better than the 30s because, we're living longer, we're looking younger at a later age. So from 40 to 50, 10-year chunk, amazing life, multi-millionaire. 50 to 60, if you're still in shape, another, similar period. So you've got 20-year chunk there, which could be the best years of your life. And I just looked, I saw Simon Cowell, he's worth close to $1 billion, I think, not far off now, about 600-700 million. The guy didn't have a kid until he was 54 years old. Imagine the life that he had. And at 30, he moved in with his parents. I read his book. He moved back in with his parents. He was broke. He lost everything. He went back to zero. And like they always say, if you think being broke is bad, try making it and then going back to being poor. That's 10 times worse. I've had that situation myself. Not on his scale, but I've had that situation. It's really shit. So Simon Cowell was broke at 30. At 54, he has his first kid. And in between 30 and 54, he's just making so much money. One of the biggest stars on the planet. It can really turn around with hard work and dedication. But the trick is, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't sit in bed going, I'm this age, things haven't gone well, I've missed my opportunity. 30 isn't even getting started yet. I'm planning to do 30 years old, probably the streaming platform. Ideally, I'd like to do it earlier, but if it happens at 30, it happens at 30. But from 30 to 40, I can build the entire streaming platform, take my net worth from millions to billions in that time period. That's a fun part of my life. Then I'll get to 40, I'll sit there and I'll say, how do I feel? What do I want to do? If I still want to, carry on living the way I am, do another 5-10 years, I'll do that. Maybe at 45, 50, then I'll think about having kids, settling down, never get married, but, getting a mortgage in an area where it's very, very nice. Well, probably not a mortgage, I'll probably buy a house outright. I think mortgages are stupid. But I'll get it in an area where it's good schools for kids, etc. And I'll think about all that shit 25 years down the line. But for now, I'm just focused on, I'm 28 in 2 days. I'm focused on working on this business and dedicating to this. And I'll get to 30. Yeah, will I be where I ideally wanted to be at 30? Maybe not, but I'm being as patient as possible because I know that life is long. Life is a lot longer than people think it is. And I just think from 30 to 40, I'm gonna have the perfect situation. And anybody who's sat there at 30 now and you've done nothing, you have 6 years, 12 years, 10 years, you have a chunk of time. It's a giant chunk of time. You have youth, no ties. You can be dedicated, but that's the trick. You've got to be dedicated. You've got to get up every day and hustle and grind for that one goal. You've got to have your vision. You've got to be focused. But I make videos about certain situations and scenarios that people think are bad, like being 30 and being broke. Being a fat guy. I'm like, do you know what? Fat guys are in the perfect position because they've already got the bulk. If you just lift heavy weights, you're going to burn calories whilst putting on muscle. You're going to turn that fat to muscle, then you're going to be big and shredded. I always find the positive, the glass being half full. And I think a guy at 30 years old that's not accomplished anything, doesn't have marriage, mortgage, kids, etc., is actually in a better position than somebody who's 30 years old with all of that because they're hungrier. Number one. Number two, they don't have any other ties. Number three, they have spare money. Number four, they have spare time, which is probably the biggest and most important one on that list. And you think when you culminate all of that together and you're actually driven and motivated for the first time in your life and you go for something, I guarantee it won't take more than 6 to 8 years, as long as you know what you're doing. And at 30, you're probably a little bit more educated than you were when you were young, a bit more self-aware. It's probably easier to get that business up and running, but don't ever worry about 30 being old. 30 is so young, but you have to stay in shape. You have to keep that energy high. You have to eat clean. You have to have a good lifestyle. Get up at 5 a.m., go to bed at 9, 10 at night, do the same on weekends and just dedicate your life, routine, structure, dedication. You have that with the scenario that you're in, you're off to the races.